Let's see. Mic check, mic check. Hey, Hitler. Welcome. How you doing? You hear me? That's good. You're doing good? Glad to hear that. Doing okay. Very busy, which isn't a bad thing. A little frustrated. I spent hours today trying to fix um, my stream setup, and pretty much got nowhere. So that's a little frustrating. It's like I keep running into these dumb stumbling blocks constantly. It's like it's so I don't know, it's so frustrating. It definitely doesn't seem like it should be this difficult, but it is. So, obviously stream's working, but it is not outputting the quality I would like it to. So, and then I'm finishing this painting today on stream. Hopefully I'll even start a new painting, although I don't know that I will. But yeah, I have to get things done super fast right now. So I've got because I have some deadlines to that I need um to hit so that I can apply to some things. So yeah. The Twitch stream. Yeah, so in order for the Twitch stream to work, assuming it's working, looks like it's working to me, but that doesn't mean much. Um, but in order to get the Twitch stream to work, um, I can't stream high resolution on YouTube. Dresden says hello. Dresden, say hi to everybody. Say meow. Say meow. Meow. Um, but yeah, it's very frustrating. And even the stream on YouTube, I hate to say it this way, but its time is limited. And what I mean by that is that I can continue to stream on YouTube for now. But as soon as Justin, but as soon as the OBS, he just bit me. You just bit me, little boy. Such a vicious animal. Look at that. Trying to eat my hand. In case anyone's wondering, he's very gentle. He doesn't bite hard. Um, but yeah, if I want to keep streaming, um, I can't upgrade my OBS. I have to keep using this old version, and that works until it doesn't, right? And once it stops working, um, you know, the hope is that either like I'll be in the situation where either someone actually updates one of the plugins I need, or I will have to buy the plugin, um, you know, that I need, or I will have to stream, but it'll have to be at like the painting will have to be at an angle because of the what's it called, distortion that I use. Um, yeah, it's really frustrating. It's like, yeah, it's just very frustrating. I've been messing around with it all day trying to get either OBS to work um or trying to get what's it called? The new one, Meld Studio, to work. And each one, like I get, you know, 90% of the way, and then I hit some kind of roadblock that just won't let me, you know, won't let me do it. It's so frustrating. And I don't know why, like everything, like I keep hitting these weird roadblocks. But yeah, very frustrating. And I've been meaning to put a video out this week. I'm still working on it. My whole week got all turned around because of all kinds of things. So, um, you know, still working on a video. I was writing the script last night, trying to get it. But yeah, Heather says that sucks. Sorry. Yeah. I don't I don't know why. It might just be like maybe if I was using a new NVIDIA graphics card, like maybe it would solve the problem. Maybe, but you know, I can't afford a, a relatively new NVIDIA graphics card. Um, the reason I say that is because some of these things are like Meld Studios, for instance, is more tailored towards NVIDIA than, you know, any other graphics card. So maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if that would actually solve the problem or not. You know, and I can't afford it either way. Like I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna. Well, you know, in theory, I guess one could upgrade for that, but it doesn't make sense for me to do that. So, so yeah, just annoying and frustrating. And like I said, I still can't stream high resolution to YouTube now because I'm also streaming to Twitch. So it's, I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. And yeah, I'll keep working at it. We'll see. I'll try looking for other alternatives, you know, other things. I don't know. It's really strange. It seems like every one of the problems I run into seems like it shouldn't be a big deal, but yet it is, and I don't get it. But, whatever. All right. Sort of wet. Oh, okay. So now I'm gonna start by trying to spend some time doing some foliage painting. I wanted to do this off stream because I feel like it's not necessarily the most interesting thing for stream, but you know, I had to spend like 6 hours yesterday thrift shopping, and I'm going to be doing that tomorrow too, so didn't have time. Excuse me for a second. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. If if things go as planned, I should have a video about about the a small short video about the craft fair thing that I went to visit. It's the one I will be showing at, but in a couple months. And then I might also have a video about some uh, D what is it DIY stuff relating to painting. Um, Things that I'm trying to put together. Um, we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I don't know. We might, like it won't be next week, but hopefully some more fun content coming out in the next couple of weeks, And like I said, I'm also working on my next video already. Um, and uh fingers crossed, there's even a chance that things might have gotten slightly easier in video making for me because software that I use for video editing just came out with an update that might actually speed up some of the process for me, which would be really nice. Alrighty. Nope, that one is not the right thing. All right, let's see. What do I need? I'm trying to do leaves and I don't want to paint every individual leaf. So I'm trying to find I want to try doing it with adding some impasto and, um, giving it a look and not have to paint every individual leaf. No, this is not working right. Okay. This might do it, but it's too blunt. What am I looking for? This might work. No, it's just not giving me the shapes that I want. I do like the impasto look, but I can also get impasto with my brush if I work at it. And honestly, I probably just need more paint too. Heather, if you're still there, how have the art classes been going? Yeah, I also have an event thing that I'm going to next month. I'm flying out to Washington, D.C. for this, and I'm trying to get more comfortable vlogging so that I can actually vlog the event and make a video out of it. But I am so awkward trying to vlog. It is ridiculous. Well, I will say, I think the best part of the last video I did was my awkward parts. Better was the best part of the entire video. Like me messing up, I think was the funniest part of the whole video. So maybe I just need to mess up more on camera. Just do that the whole time. Heather says about her classes, they're going good. We're starting our final project, less than a month left of this semester. Time flies, it's crazy. Every time I have to paint something that's like a dark brown, I keep thinking of like all this stuff that I watched in the last like couple of years about the color brown, and how like brown is essentially a dark orange, but it's not that simple, because not only is it a dark orange, but it's actually a like the way that neon colors make things brighter, brown makes things duller. It's like an opposite neon, which is interesting to me. Um, yeah, and I can't help thinking about that every time I have to paint something brown. Other says, I'm doing an abstract in acrylics and building a 3D scene in watercolors with layers on paper and foam. Interesting. I feel like it would be easier to make an abstract, like, well, I guess with acrylics it'd be easy too, but the 3D scenes in watercolors, like building something, I feel like that might be easier with acrylics than watercolors, but that's just off the top of my head. Definitely wouldn't have the same look, of course. I'm not saying it would. I'm just but yeah, um it's so weird, like the thing about brown that always comes to mind is that like I saw this thing that claimed that the way that neon colors, and this is a very simplistic way of understanding it because I do not have a, deep grasp of this, but um, neon colors appear brighter because what they do is if a white light hits a red color, it reflects only red. A neon color takes reflects the red, but then takes the other colors and kind of shifts them into the red and reflects them as red as well. That's why it's so bright. Um, but brown basically does the opposite of that. It takes colors and reflects and like dulls them down and reflects them as brown. Heather says, yeah, the teacher gave us the 3D option, and I may be shooting myself in the foot, but so far it's looking okay. Oh no, I don't necessarily think you're shooting yourself in the foot. It just the watercolor part is the thing that I was like thinking about. That's all. Because, but I guess if you're like gluing the paper to the 3D thing, then, that works. Just depends on how you do it. Um, like if I'm thinking like you paint it and then you glue the pieces to the thing, but you might have a better way of doing it. This is like spitballing off the top of my head. I'm not like an expert builder or anything. I wish I did have like I one of the things I would like to invest in at some point is like a bunch of woodworking tools so that I could really like build the things that I want to, the canvases I want to, the frames, all of that. I don't always want to deal with that stuff, but it's nice to have the option when you do. Okay, I'll take a look at it later. I'm trying to give the impression of leaves without having to paint, each individual leaf. Sometimes it's actually easier for me to see it like in my monitor than it is looking at the painting. I'm also trying to mimic like the focus kind of going softer in like the further away from her that we get towards the edges. So it's this really interesting mix of like detail and impression of detail, but also like blurry effect. one of the tricks is to put detail in some of it, and then the rest you can fake, and it will appear as if you put detail into everything. That's actually a trick, if you want to call it, that works pretty well on a lot of art related stuff. Like a lot of times, if you just detail part of something and then put a lot of like random stuff, it'll look like you detailed everything unless someone looks like very carefully. But if you do it right, only the people who really want to study your art will look very closely at it and they will enjoy it because the like, the kind of play of like, going from looking like a lot of detail to not, a lot of people enjoy that. So, yeah. So, what medium do you enjoy so far the most, Heather, out of all the ones you've tried? Heather says, I've had a lot of fun with watercolors, but I think so far I've been most successful in my acrylic painting. Okay. When I first took art lessons, I learned watercolor. Well, no, I learned pencil and stuff like that. But first paint was watercolor because my teacher was this crazy Russian guy, and his idea was that like it's the hardest, so you start with that, and then everything else becomes easier. Um, I don't know that I really agree with that, but that was his thing. Um, and then when I went to art school in LA, the main thing that I learned was acrylics. Uh, well, and charcoal and stuff like that, but the main paint was acrylics. And um, we learned a particular like system of painting in acrylics that was like a system where you layer everything and you have to like do washes and all this. And I'm not a fan of painting like that anymore. At the time, I didn't know any better, so I used it the way they taught me to. But now, definitely not my favorite way of approaching a painting. But you can paint with acrylics directly too, of course. I'm just talking in general. Let's see. But that's good that you've been enjoying acrylics. I'm glad to hear that. Um, let's see. Heather says the picture I sent you has a lot of details in gouache. That's good. One of the big advantages of gouache is that it's easy to photograph. I know that might not sound like a big deal, but it really can be. All right, let's see. Oh, very cool. Okay, Heather, I thought you were doing something else. In my mind, I had a different concept, more sculptural. It was really neat. The funny thing is with this painting is that a lot of times I go in with like just straight up black. And I usually try to avoid putting like just straight up black on the canvas. But because, a lot of it's still wet and it's all very close to black, but there's all these other colors, it ends up just blending in. It's not a great way of approaching it if you want everything to be very cleanly defined, but I know I'm gonna go back in and like redefine a lot of these things. So having like random texture also helps with the implied details. So that's kind of what I'm going for. That's why I'm actually using a smaller brush for some of it because that like those like sweeping marks that I'm doing, I don't normally do that, but like I said, it just kind of gives texture. I am regretting my decisions to paint this, though. Getting glare over here on this corner. It's really annoying. I feel like I need to start coming to these live streams with a script, but I don't have much to talk about right now, unfortunately. I've been mostly avoiding the news because who wants to deal with that? Like, I get the broad strokes of things, but I've been mostly avoiding that. Um, Try and keep up with some tech news stuff because I always like, well, not always, but I like certain things with tech. Although it really sucks because a lot of it's like, just like, oh, that's nice to know about this graphics card that I cannot possibly afford right now. And I probably wouldn't have the chance to buy it anyways because there's like no stock, stuff like that. So it's just like, okay. What was it? I watched the recent season of Invincible. That was good. Hey, Cassandra, welcome. How are you doing? I'm finishing up this painting tonight, and I doubt it, but if things go really, really well, I will start a new painting, the next painting that I have planned, because I have to get that one done ASAP. The leaves are lovely. Thank you. I hate them all, but I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, it is. If I can get it done. If I, c- I'm going to submit three paintings to this thing anyways. So if I can't get it done, I'll have to submit something else. Um, I don't know what you're wowing about necessarily. That I'm going to try and get a painting done for it, or that I'm going to submit like three. I'm submitting paintings I already have. I'm not submitting three new ones. Yeah, no, I'm not doing three new paintings. For anyone who's like, what am I talking about? There's a art, there's a um, gallery thing I'm trying to submit to for a group show, and I'm going to submit probably three paintings, but I'm trying to get a new one done for it. However, I do have other paintings that I can submit to it. Cassandra says, "Yeah, I thought you were just not going to sleep ever again." Yeah, I mean, I've done that in the past. My record, I think, was don't know what my record staying up like in a row is. It was something in the military. I think it was like 36 hours or something. But I know that I like the most I've done was like when I was freelancing in LA, and like between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, like from Friday all the way till Monday, basically. Um, I I slept a total of 6 hours non-consecutively. Like I napped basically, um, and just kept working. I don't think that's very good for a person to do, if I'm being honest. I know I didn't feel good after doing that. But I have been, in the past, I have been so sleep deprived uh, for for so long that I have had like uh, waking dreams where like I start dreaming while I'm still awake, um, which might technically be hallucinations. I don't know the difference, but yeah. And I fell asleep standing up once too, but that was when I had what is it, Kissing's? I think it's called the Kissing's disease or whatever it is. Yeah, that wasn't fun either. Uh, mono. Thank you. Mono. Yeah, yeah. That's what it is. Mono. Yeah, I had mono and yeah, I fell asleep standing up. So that wasn't fun. Sounds like hallucinating. Yeah, I mean it kind of is like hallucinating, but it's not exactly because I wasn't like wide awake while it was happening. I would be like falling asleep while still being awake. So it was this weird like in between where I'm like half asleep, half awake, partially aware of what's going on around me, but also dreaming. So it's hard for me to tell what's happening. Whereas I feel like hallucinating is more like it seems from what I've seen, and I could be completely wrong, but the way it's depicted is that it's like you're completely awake and or you're like, but you just see things that aren't there. This was like it really felt like dreaming where like everything changes, but I'm also still aware of what's actually happening in reality. That's why I said it was a little different, but I could be wrong. Like I don't definitely not an expert on hallucinations. You said your friend came by to pick up the painting of her dog. That's awesome. Did she like it? Or did he like it? Did they like it? Whatever. Did your friend like it? You know who I'm talking about. More importantly, did the dog like it? Christina says, I think she liked it. She said she did. But I question if she actually did because of how hard the painting was and how I feel about the experience. Yeah, it's not always a great indicator of how other people will view it, though. But you're going to choose to believe her instead of being sad? Yeah, I would. This isn't exactly the same thing, but I've had people, like I've done paintings and I've had people comment on them before. And they'll tell me like, oh my God, this painting is like, it looks like you put like there's so much detail and you put so much work into it and blah, blah, and I'm like, man, that was one of the quickest paintings I ever did. I just, you know, like just did it real quick and dirty and just kind of got it done. And they're like, they think I spent all this time working on it and all this. And then there'll be a painting where I put in so much work into just the most refined details and all these little subtleties. And people will just look at it and like glance over it and not even see any of that. So it's not the same thing, but the way people, experience your painting and your experience of painting it are very much unrelated to each other, is what I'm trying to say. I'll try to hammer that one into my brain. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things. It can also be really frustrating because like I've said this before, but I've done paintings where like, I end up just calling it done, but I still see a ton of flaws in it, and I'm just like, if I only had time, or if I only had the energy, or if I'd only done that from the beginning, and I could have made those changes, or I wish I'd seen that before I'd finished it, and blah, you know, or whatever it is, right? I've had people tell me like that those little moments that I hate because they're mistakes are their favorite parts of the painting. And I don't tell them it's a mistake. I just go, uh-huh, I'm really glad you like it. Because why would I want to take that away from them, right? Like they connected with something. That's fine. But yeah, you got to remember those things, then just let it go. The and another thing too is, okay, this is one of my favorite stories. So I don't know if you're familiar with this. I don't remember the artist at all. But there's an artist who he does all these big installations, big famous, artists, right? You'll probably know what I'm talking about, or at least, if not, I'm sure you've heard of him or seen his stuff. I just don't remember who it is. Uh, he did a artwork that is a machine with a big like base and a big arm, and the machine it has like a brush on it or a squeegee thing, and the floor is slightly sloped and it's enclosed, and it has like a reddish liquid, and it's constantly like scooping up the liquid back to the base, and it just continues to do that. Cassandra says, yes, that thing is wild. It is wild, but here's the thing that kills me about that thing. So you may or may not be familiar with this, okay? So it went viral because someone posted about it, how heartbreaking and interesting this artwork is, because it's like this machine is essentially trying to scoop up the oil back into itself so that it can keep working. And that oil is kind of like its blood, right? The analogies there. And it's this, it's this whole thing, right? And it went viral for that because of this person's post, right? And I love it. I love that story. I totally understand why it went viral with that story. Um, that wasn't the intention of the artist, though. Some random person, in my opinion, made the artwork better by giving it a better story that wasn't originally part of it. It really? Yeah, no, it wasn't. Um, it wasn't at all. Yeah. And so it it's it's so interesting how our perception, can be affected by all these things. So, even the intention of the artwork could be, unrelated to your intention, right? Like the message of it. So yeah, it's wild. I looked it up. I don't remember what. Here's the thing. I don't even remember what the original idea behind the artwork was. It wasn't that interesting. I don't have anything to say. Whatever. It's just like, all right, cool, sure, I guess. I like the other one more. And there's other things too, like the bull in front of the stock market, the artist who did that originally, um, there was that whole thing where they put the little girl standing in front of the bull thing. And he was offended by that because he didn't have any negative intentions when he made the artwork. It wasn't meant to represent anything negative, but the association of it has been, so negative because of people's negative opinions of like, the stock market and Wall Street and all that, that people then had this like negative, you know, feeling towards his artwork. It had nothing to do with that. But, that's how people feel now. So, yeah. Cassandra says it's easy also to take something you made for granted. Absolutely. You'll never see it like someone else. Absolutely. There's an interesting idea of like people, who are experts in things are often very bad at teaching those things because you can't, like, good teachers are good teachers, obviously. But the idea is that you, as like, not you, anybody, once they learn something, you can't remember what it was like exactly to not know that thing. Like, you can remember maybe, like, for instance, if I'm an expert at Photoshop and I can remember like, oh yeah, I could never do this in Photoshop before, and then once I learned how to do it, I can then do it. But I can't remember how difficult it was to learn those things. I mean, I can remember how much work I put into it, but I can't remember the feeling of like of confusion that I had at the time. Or maybe not can't is the right word. It's very difficult, and it's very difficult to try and backtrack to give someone instructions who is at that stage versus where you're at the moment. It's very complicated. So people who are experts are often like, unless they're really good teachers, are often not very good teachers because they don't know how to convey the information to like a complete novice um, the way they might need it, which I thought was an interesting thing. I don't remember where I was, like where I read this, but it's interesting. I see the merit to it for sure. But that's why I also like, when you like, I don't know if you write a story or you write a even like an essay or anything like that, if you like do a lot of editing and you take parts out and put parts back in and so on, like you could, leave a whole section out and still read it as if it's there because your brain just fills in all those gaps for you. Um, yeah. But that's also one of those things where it's like, it's really cool to use that on purpose, right? Like, I'm trying to do some of that with the leaves where I'm implying things without having to paint all the details of every frickin' leaf. You said you aren't loving them. What's not working for you? Uh, the part where I have to paint them? Yeah, that part's really not working for me. As far as how they look, they're I think they're coming out all right. Um, it's more the like just the effort of making them. You know, it's weird because I don't think I'm really all that lazy. Um, but there are definitely things that I do not have the patience for. You know, it's like I will spend the time on certain things, but there are other things where I will just not have the patience for it. They're making a nice arc from her head to her hands. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be that's why I picked the reference, right? Like I liked the reference. That's why I picked it. I just didn't think it through. Yeah, I like the reference a lot. I like it for a few reasons. The composition in total, and there's a some other stuff, but I won't get too much into it because I am going to cover that in a video. For some reason, this paint comes out very oily, and I have to like soak up the oil, the excess. No spoilers. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I do like the image. That's why, I decided to work on it. But I do not have the patience for it a lot of times. Yeah, I already started working on the script for this painting. I like I already know what I'm gonna like I already have an idea of what I'm gonna say for most of it. I don't even need to finish the painting to like, for most of it, because I already like this part of the painting, it's just like the painting's done, right? I just have to actually finish it at this point. But yeah, what was it? Yesterday, I spent like 6 hours uh, thrift shopping for something. Once again, no spoilers, so I'm not going to get into it. But oh, jeez, thrift shopping is not for me. I didn't even find what I was actually looking for, so I have to do it again, probably tomorrow. Uh, that's a long ass time. It is a long ass time. Maybe it was shorter. I also did go grocery shopping afterwards, but maybe it was a little shorter. It's still a long ass time regardless. I went to like 6 or 7 stores, something like that, which feels like a ton of stores to me. I did try and vlog some of it, although to be fair, most of what I vlogged was basically B-roll, right? Because like there's nothing for me to really vlog, but I am trying because I really want to get better at that because and fast because I have the Portrait Society coming up and I would really like to be able to make a video about that, like a vlog video about it, after the fact. There's no way I can make it while I'm there, but I want to capture footage and then be able to bring it home and edit it together. I'm also going to do a review of this panel, but not in the upcoming video. That will be a separate thing. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but not really. Reason I'm not doing a review yet is because I don't feel like this one painting is enough to give a fair review. So I'm going to do another painting on this, um, and see how that goes. I should probably just get my liner brush out, but that's all. I probably should. I'm now putting in details that no one else will ever notice or pay attention to, just for the record. Now I'm back to normal details that people will notice. I'm getting a lot of dry brush effect that I don't necessarily want. Almost done. Almost. You know what's really interesting is that sometimes you can put down color and it's like you can you can put down the same color and depending on how you lay the color down, it can be it can either blend in completely or stand out without ever changing the actual color that you're trying to put down. I think that's so interesting. Like just by changing how you handle the color, the brush mark can change whether or not you can even see the mark, the color, not the mark, the color or not. All right. I think it's literally time for some final touches. I'm sure after the fact I'll find some things that are wrong with it or something, but for what is supposed to be a daily painting and ended up being like multiple days of daily painting, I just need to be done with the painting. Yeah. This is the type of painting that I could easily spend, you know, uh, many, many more hours on. Actually, there is something I need to do. Yep, there is something more I need to do to it. Almost forgot. I'm glad I didn't. Hey, Don Lee, welcome. How you doing? How'd your stream go? This is looking great. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. For anyone who doesn't know, probably someone watching on the replay, Don Lee is a streamer friend. He just finished a stream tonight. He does digital artwork. Check him out on Twitch. If you're watching the replay. Don Leo. Good stream, thanks. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Not to let's see, the leaves would give Bob Ross envy. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Not to compare them to Bob, really. Just saying, really nice illustrated. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm almost done with my stream and with this painting. And just had to go in and put in some extra marks because I had left some uh, abstract marks down here, and it just stood out too much as being like the only spot. So I had to either paint over that or incorporate a little more of this stuff into it. Giving it those definingly odd touches. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I really like this part over here and I didn't want to get rid of it. So I had to, had to make a decision. Do I, you know, do I paint over that or what do I do? Because just leaving it just didn't feel right. But I don't want these to be without any purpose. So I need to go back in and paint over them to a degree. Trying to estimate size. Is this an 8 by 8? Close, 10 by 10. Yeah, you were very close. Yeah, 10 by 10. They do have these panels in other sizes. I bought, it was the closest thing to a 9 by 12 that they had at the store at the time. Always trying to draw the leaves like around the leaves. It's just so much easier to just paint over it and go back in and paint them like this. One thing I struggle with when I work on like stuff like this is when you have a bunch of like random stuff, and this isn't a problem that only I have. We have a tendency to group things in order. Even when we're trying to make things random, we end up spacing things evenly. People just tend to do that. Not everybody, but most people. So something to definitely keep in mind if you ever have to paint random objects, to try and really not group things up evenly and give things random spacing and so on. Well, I think that's it for the night and for this painting. I was hoping to start my next painting because I need to get it done ASAP, but um, everything I have to do right now is like ASAP, so yeah. Oh well. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And unfortunately, I'm going to call it a night for the stream. Um, I'll be back on Sunday. I think that's it. That's all I got. Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. I will try and yeah. I was going to say I was going to try and stream more, but I always say that and I never do. So I'll try, but who knows? Nice work. Thanks, Donley. I appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll be back Sunday. All right.